About a month ago, Native Instruments dropped the update to the Maschine 2.0 software, Maschine 3.0. Along with this update came a lot of criticisms that the update wasn't what we expected and not exactly what we asked for. A lot of the comments said that it wasn't a full update and should not have costed $30 just for stem separation and a couple of shortcuts when it comes to creating MIDI and splitting MIDI notes and stuff like that. But despite the negative comments, I actually haven't found the update that bad, and I do appreciate Native Instruments at least trying something with the Maschine MK3 and Maschine software in general. Because as we know, they really haven't been paying much attention to the software for the past 11 years, so it is nice to know that there is still hope for the future for the Maschine MK3 and Maschine software. Today I'm going to take you guys through a few of the updates and answer the question if the Maschine MK3 and Maschine software is still worth it going into 2025. The first feature I was really excited for when I saw it was the stem separation. So we're going to start with that. So as you can see here, I'm going to drag in a little soul sample I found. I click it. Sounds pretty cool. But we're going to want to separate those stems. One way you can do it is click sampling here. You can click edit either on the screen right here or on your Maschine MK3 right here. I like to do everything on the Maschine MK3, so I'll just click edit here. And then you can see that the WAV file comes up just like sampling normally. And then what we can do is if you like doing things directly on your computer in the DAW, you can click on the stems here. But I like to do everything on my machine, so I'll cancel this. And what I like to do is scroll through this menu here. If you just keep scrolling here, eventually you'll get to stems. And then if I just click apply, it'll start exporting the sounds. All right, now as you can see on these 4 pads, we now have our 4 different stems. If you look on the screen, it's broken into these 4 different stems here. So we have drums, we have bass, we have other, which will include all of our instruments that aren't drum and bass, like piano, guitars, synths, things like that. And then on this last track here, we have the vocals. So as you can see, if I click on my Maschine MK3, this first pad will get some drums. The second pad will get some bass. It's pretty quiet, but some soul bass there. The other instruments here. And then last but not least, we'll get that nice soul vocal. We're going to stick with this vocal because I feel like that has the potential to make the coolest chops. So we'll use the sampling button. It's on edit right here. But what I want to do is go to slice. You can either press it right here or the slice button on the Maschine MK3. And now you can see I have it on detect mode already. So it's detected some chops for me. See some random chops here. So that already sounds pretty cool. I haven't even put any effects on it or anything. So as you can see with the stem separation, this will totally change the game up for sampling. Now with the stem separation, if you like a vocal, if you like an instrument part or the drums, you can now just rip it right out of the song and make your own slices and loops and whatever you want to make with it. Especially with the Maschine MK3 here, I can drag something in, rip the stems out, and then sample whatever I want directly on the Maschine MK3, and it's super easy to make chops. I honestly do like the Native Instruments version of stems better than a lot of the other DAWs, including Akai. Because of their relationship with Isotope, I find that it does sound a lot cleaner because they can use the RX plugin directly inside Maschine here. So I honestly do really appreciate that a lot more than a lot of the other DAWs. Even Logic Pro X I frequently use, and I find that the stem separation in Maschine is slightly better. Not anything super noticeable, especially once you've added other instruments and such. Is Maschine a little late to the party for stem separation? Definitely, but I feel like they did it pretty well. Another feature that they added that was so small, I almost didn't bother mentioning it, but since it was a part of the expansion, I will say that you can now use your keyboard as a MIDI keyboard, which is pretty strange, but let me show you what I mean. You can see on the screen here that I have this icon clicked, and now when I click my keyboard, I don't know why you'd use that if you have the hardware, but they do include it now. One of their big selling features of the update was that they've added MIDI tools along with this feature. So you don't have to have the hardware to use the software. But in my opinion, the whole point of having the software was that it was compatible with the hardware. When I use my Maschine MK3, I'm always looking down. I'm never really looking at my screen. I do it all on the Maschine MK3, but this is a feature they now include. So if you do want the Maschine software, but you don't want the hardware or you can't afford the hardware, you can now use just the Maschine software if you're wanting to get comfortable with it. To be honest, not sure why you'd want to, but I guess it's an option for you. But for the purposes of today, I'm just going to record it on the Maschine MK3. So of course, if you just want to record something, you'll press Shift, record. All right, so just recorded something super simple there. Let's say that we want to change up the MIDI a little bit. So I'll right click here and then you'll see they've added all these tools. So for example, we have draw. If we want to add another note, for example, we could draw it in. I don't for today. Let's say I do want to split a note. So I can hover over here and then slice wherever I'd like to slice this note up. So let's go with right here. And now when I play it back, so you see exactly how that works. I just cut that up right there. So pretty easy, but let's say I want to join this one back together. Once again, super simple. Just drag, boom, goes together. Super easy. And there is one more here. I'm not sure why you'd want to use this, but mute, and then super simple, click, mute, unmute it. For an update, this does seem super basic. I'm not sure why they would add this and make it such a major part of the update. The one thing I will find absolutely useful about this though is they added a preview button. So now you can click this, and now when you do move this note here, if I move it down, it'll preview the note for me. But for being such a major part of the update, I'm not super impressed. And last but not least, Native Instruments has added the ability to do different tempos for different scenes. So if you've been using Native Instruments Maschine for a while, you'll know that you can add different scenes. So this is scene 1 here. We have it at 108 BPM. What we can do is now right click here and then it will say scene tempo. And now we can change the tempo to something slower or faster. So for this tutorial, we can move it a little slower. And now when we go on scene 1 and click playback, scene 2, so if we want, if I restart this, I can click this tempo button, move the knob, and you'll see at the top, the BPM's getting faster and faster. Something cool that you can do with the different scenes. I do want to make my final recommendation for the Maschine MK3 and the update and say if it is worth it in 2025. My final recommendation is, yes, it is definitely worth it if you're used to the Maschine integrated hardware, you like your MK3. But if you're kind of on the fence, this update is not worth getting. And please, 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 please don't get this update if you are just wanting to use the MIDI tools. There are 100 DAWs you can get that are a million times better. This is not going to work for you. But once again, if you do like the MK3, if you use the Maschine Plus in DJ sets and stuff like that, this update isn't really that terrible. The stem separation does add a lot to my production, to be honest. And I know Akai does have stem separation, but like I said, I do find the stem separation in this update a little bit better than Akai's. And honestly, the software for Maschine, I just honestly like so much better than Akai's interface and their DAW. For me, Maschine is more user intuitive, easier to use. I like the layout of the hardware more. So for me, making beats, it's so much faster for me to just use the Maschine MK3. Do I wish that Native Instruments did make a full-blown DAW? Of course I do. Of course I want Native Instruments to make a full-blown DAW and have the Maschine be everything I want it to be. I did think we were going to get more with this update, but alas, here we are. So we definitely did get some useful updates for Maschine, but it's not at all what I was hoping for. Will I be using Maschine in 2025? I will. But like I've said in other videos, I always use Maschine, and when I'm mixing and adding vocals, I move all my beats over to Logic Pro X. So for a couple of years now, I've really been doing more of a hybrid system. I was really hoping with this update that I'd be able to just fully integrate into Maschine. I've shown so much love to Maschine and to Native Instruments. I have so many of their plugins. I was hoping it could just be an all-in-one box that I would be able to do everything in. Unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's going to be a reality for a while. The user interface does look so much better. The stem separation works great. I still have hope for Native Instruments and Maschine. Let me know down in the comments, guys, if you've gotten the Maschine 3.0 update, and let me know ideas for future videos. I appreciate you guys watching. See you next vid.